Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major update today from Steve Hilton, the Republican who was running for California governor. He is taking the lead in the governor's race, my friends. This is breaking news. Steve Hilton shocking the absolute world, my friend. Two major updates. Spencer Pratt is actually doing extremely well in the LA mayor race as well, and Steve Hilton leads in the governor's race, so let's tune in, my friends.
The votes are still being counted in both the California gubernatorial race, where Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton are battling it out for the top two spots, and the Los Angeles mayoral election, where incumbent Karen Bass is advancing, with Spencer Pratt currently in second. Here are what the leading candidates have to say about the current state of this race. Watch.
I have devoted my entire life to serving the city that I love, where I was born, and I'm going to continue to do that all the way to victory in November.
Thinking of everybody's emotions and the hope people have put on me. Again, I'm going to prove to everybody this is for real, and I'm ready to run the city.
As your governor, I am ready to lead the fight to uphold California's promise, to make sure we have the governance worthy of our gifts.
I'm here to fight for you and to help you to have that chance at following your dream, whatever it is. That's the whole point of my campaign, is practical things that will help everyone.
Thank you, guys, and here we go now. Los Angeles voters firing a political warning shot across the bow late last night. The Democratic incumbent, Karen Bass, heading to a runoff in the race for mayor. Spencer Pratt, the challenger.
Okay, so here is Spencer Pratt. Let's tune in, my friends. This is big news.
Let's talk to Mr. Hilton right now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Of course, great to be with you, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, we've spoken before. And what do you think matters more? That the president has backed you, or that you have Becerra and Steyer fighting over the same votes?
I think the real truth is a combination of those things, but the most important thing that's been driving my campaign, and the reason I think that we're going to be successful in November in the general election, is kind of what you were discussing with Bill, which is the record of the Democrats. 16 years. They've had total control of everything in California, all the statewide elected offices, both chambers in the legislature with a 2/3 supermajority, all the big cities, all the big counties, the state Supreme Court with a 6-1 majority. And so, they've had 16 years to prove that their ideas can deliver good outcomes, and they just haven't done that. In fact, the outcomes are terrible. We got the highest poverty rate in the country, the highest unemployment rate, highest cost of living by far, the crime, the chaos, the homelessness, it all seems to get worse, even though taxes keep going up. I think we've reached a point in California where people are done with it, and you can see that in the numbers. 56% of Californians, in a poll that just came out the other day, think that the state's going in the wrong direction, and that's really where I think the energy is going to come from in the next phase of this campaign, is to speak to that majority who want change and say, look, I've got plans, simple, positive, practical things, not ideological, pragmatic, problem solving. Cut your taxes, your first 100 grand tax free, get down to a more reasonable level for gas prices by reversing the energy policies that have sent them sky high. These kinds of things that I think everyone can get behind. And so I'm confident that we can win in November. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think we can do it.
Wow. Can you imagine California having a Republican governor? That would be insane, guys.
Then why did you need the president's endorsement or want it when you're going to have to balance that with owning his policies that have put an enormous strain on Californians?
Well, I didn't ask for it, but I was very honored to get it, and very appreciative that he reminded everyone about it on election day and indeed on election morning. Because, look, as you mentioned, I'm a new American citizen, a naturalized citizen now. We've been here since 2012, moved here with my wife and my 2 sons. But to be endorsed by the President of the United States is my first run for office, and also the Vice President. I've got to tell you, just on a personal level, it's a great honor. I don't think it means that you look at all of the policies at the federal level and translate them to California, I think what it really means is that you're going to have, as governor, someone who can work in partnership with the president and his team to deliver practical benefits to Californians. The president alluded to that in his congratulatory message this morning, that actually he'll be able to deliver for California. Let's just take gas prices. One of the reasons that they're so high in California, even with the Iran war, $2 higher than the rest of the country, is that instead of using our own oil reserves here in California, of which we have an abundance, we're now shipping it in, importing it, nearly 80% of our oil from halfway around the world. The president wants to open up energy production in California. So do I. Gavin Newsom and his team are opposing that. I just think these are practical things that in the course of the campaign,
right, but just so people know, because this is something, you're going to have to explain it, but you're going to have to be careful on that one, because you're picking the right, a correct problem, but you've got to keep the context right. The government allows our oil companies to export because they say, well, we don't want to mess with private industry, which, as we both know, is nonsense. We do all kinds of preference structures for corporate citizens. Your gas taxes make your tax rates higher in California. True. But it's not about more drilling. It's not about the capacity. It's about the ability of the companies to sell them where they get the biggest price instead of serving the interests of Californians, in your case. That's something you would have to change.
It's not quite that in California. There's no... California's an island when it comes to crude oil. So we're not actually selling internationally. We're buying internationally. We have pretty much all the... We used to produce most of what we use in-state. Now we import nearly 80%. That adds to the cost.
You have to change it.
And if you look at the $2... Exactly, and I can change it through regulatory changes. The governor, for example, appoints the leadership of CalGEM. That's the agency that manages that, the Geologic and Energy Management. And so we can open up production. It's not the only thing we can do to bring down prices, but actually, if you look at the $2 extra that California, if you look at the $2 extra that Californians pay, about just over 60 cents is the tax. The rest of it are regulations that the governor can also change. So look, it's just one example among many, but we need to make these positive changes to bring down the cost of living for Californians. That's why I think I'm going to win in November. People are desperate for change.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get
Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton, stunning California elections. California could actually be turning red, crazily enough. Let's listen in.
Is right on her heels. So good morning, everybody. Dana's got the day off today. I'm Bill Hemmer, live here in New York, and our friend Jackie has made her way on the train from Washington, D.C. It wasn't easy.
It was a late train, but I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Back.
Thank you. I'm Jackie Heinrich. This is America's Newsroom. Now, Bass is the first sitting mayor in decades to get less than 50% of the vote, forcing her into a runoff in November. And it's not clear who she will face, but right now, Spencer Pratt sitting in second place ahead of progressive Nithya Raman.
So now Bass has faced a tough challenge amid her tumultuous tenure. Many voters angry over the rampant homelessness and the drug-ridden streets. The city's also struggled to rebuild after the devastating Palisades fire that destroyed thousands of homes. And with the votes still being counted, all three candidates battling to the very end. And in the early morning hours, here is how two of them see it now.
I have devoted my entire life to serving the city that I love, where I was born, and I'm going to continue to do that all the way to victory in November.
And she knows it's on. I hope she's ready, because I literally could not be more excited.
No matter what happens in this election, I'll never stop fighting for it.
Meanwhile, the race for California governor remains too close to call. Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Javier Becerra leading the pack. Matt Finn is live in LA with the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Jackie. If Mayor Karen Bass got more than 50% of the vote last night, she would have been automatically reelected. this is over. But she did not. So now Bass and whomever officially comes in second place behind her are going to advance to the general election in November, where they're going to battle this out all over again. Now, the latest numbers from the AP this morning in the mayor's race, the AP estimates 63% of the votes are in. Karen Bass claiming 34% with 172,000 votes. The AP says she'll advance to the general election. Just behind her is Spencer Pratt with 30% at 151,000 votes. And in the distant third is Progressive Councilwoman Nithya Raman. Now, Bass held a more traditional headquarters event last night at a hotel in Koreatown. Pratt hosted a non-conventional private election night party at Don Antonio's Mexican restaurant, where Pratt addressed one of the most common criticisms against him, not having the right experience.
I feel very confident that I'm going to continue to work hard, learn everything I need to learn, build my teams, show all the experience I'm going to surround myself with, because that's a concern people have.
We've been fighting because we're not going to let somebody turn back our clock. We are not going to do that. We are going to continue moving our city forward because this is the greatest city in the world.
And in the governor's race, the AP is reporting 58% of the vote is in, and a Republican is in the lead in California. Former Fox News host and Trump-endorsed Steve Hilton has 1.38 million votes. Just behind him is President Biden's former HHS Secretary, Democrat Javier Becerra, with 1.26 million votes.
I'm very confident. I've always been confident, by the way, that once it's a straight choice in the general election between myself and another Democrat, that we will win, because the argument for change is irresistible.
While I take nothing for granted, there are lots of ballots left to be counted. It appears that we are on track to advance to November.
And in third place in the governor's race is Democrat Tom Steyer. There are still tens of thousands of votes to be tallied. We will keep you updated here from California. Back to you guys in New York.
All right, Matt Finn, thanks so much.
So, Jackie, over on the board, we'll show you where we stand right now. We'll begin now with the governor's race here in California as we look at real-time data as it stands right now, okay? Too close to call, okay? In California, we know the top two candidates will advance. There were 60 candidates on the ballot. 60. I'm not making that up, all right? Steve Hilton, too soon to call. You got about 58% of the estimated votes in right now, but a lot of mail ballots going to continue to come in for some time, and that's what slows down the counting. Hilton's got a slight edge here, about 2.5 points over Becerra. And Tom Steyer, by the way, Tom Steyer spent more than $200 million. Right now, he is in third place. But how does the state shake down here, all right? Hilton in red dominates inland, all right? Becerra in green dominates the coastline, and Steyer picks up a few counties down here around Santa Barbara. Let me pop out of California, one county down there around Santa Barbara. Let me pop in here and show you what's happening in the mayor's race in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the mayor race in LA. The fact that Karen Bass only got 34% and Spencer got 30%. That's actually really close. That's actually crazy for California. So Spencer Pratt is, that means almost 1/3 of people in LA who went to vote for Spencer Pratt. That's kind of insane. He's not really a Republican, but he's definitely not, a typical far left-wing person.
Okay, they're going to be counting for some time as well. Karen Bass will go to the runoff. We believe very comfortably, based on the Associated Press reporting from the votes overnight, that she now currently leads in that mayor's race. So really, the second place finisher will advance, and that's either Pratt or that's Raman. But Pratt right now is sitting in a very good and comfortable position. So how do they vote in Los Angeles? Massive, sprawling town. Here are the neighborhoods. Pacific Palisades hit by the fires. Westwood, that's where UCLA is. Hollywood, and of course, downtown LA. To show you a bit of a comparison, we went back to the results in Los Angeles from 4 years ago. This is not the primary now. This is the mayor's race and how it ended up. Karen Bass was the winner over Rick Caruso. Caruso was a Republican, then an independent. He ran as a Democrat, but this is where Caruso did best. Pacific Palisades, okay, in the neighborhoods to the north. Karen Bass did best in downtown LA. This is where Caruso did best. Pacific Palisades, okay, in the neighborhoods to the north. Karen Bass did best in downtown LA. He's in a battle. Here's what he said last night.
The majority of Californians want change. That's what this is about, restoring that California dream. As I said earlier, a good job where you make enough to raise your family in a home of your own, in a safe neighborhood where your kids have a chance to go to a good school so they can have a better life.
Okay, it appears that he has a very good chance of advancing, but none of that is official just yet. But based on some of the early vote tallies, it looks like people across the state are really paying attention. The turnout at a primary level now in a state of 23 million looks to be much higher than it was 4 years ago.
Wow.
Can Hilton win and make a change in California? It's been some time, John.
Yeah, it sure has been some time. I mean, 15 years since you've had a Republican in that office. But I think he's right. I think people do want change in that state. And even if they aren't necessarily Republicans, if they're more independent-minded, if they're maybe left-of-center voters, I think they do look at what's happening in the states and they're fed up. You know, one of the difficult Republicans have statewide, we talked about Los Angeles, but one of the most things any Republican has in California is that people have already voted for years. They've voted with their feet. They've left the state. And the common sense most likely to turn out and vote for change have already changed their location and gone to a different place. So I'm sure rooting for Steve. I think he's got a really good message here. And I think that he can come out on top if the people who want change turn out in droves.
All right, plenty of time to analyze this, and we shall. Thank you, John, for coming on today. We'll talk very soon. Thanks.
Wow, crazy, guys.
So now think about it.
So it does seem like Hilton does have a good shot for California governor, guys.
He was doing the interviews. He was out there talking to the residents.
And he was talking to everybody. So you would think Los Angeles have buyer's remorse, and they obviously don't to the degree. No. I'd say, wow, well, now I have another shot at getting somebody that would come from the outside and just look to execute. But on the governor's race, let's take a look at that. Steve Hilton with 27% to 25%. Now, think about this. Nobody knew Steve Hilton a year ago. No. Outside the Fox viewers, he does a fantastic job as a host and contributor. He's working with David Cameron as an advisor and a political expert, and people know him, know how smart he was, his instincts. With the tech background, his wife's a tech executive, too. And he comes out of nowhere. At the very least, he's got 27% of the vote in a state that has 40% to 40% Republicans. So he's got maybe they say about a 15% chance of winning in the general.
Brian, have you been back to California? I was talking to someone. It's been years since I've been back to California.
Going Thursday.
And I want you to take some pictures, or I want you to at least come back and report, because I was talking to a friend. She went with her husband. Her husband loves California. I think she said he was from there. And they went, and she said, have you been to LA lately? She said, you will have a mansion, a $3 million, $6 million mansion with a homeless encampment right next to it. She said, I was appalled. She said, I told my husband I don't ever want to go back. Mm-hmm. And that's LA. It's the prettiest property.
And it's been like this for years now. I mean, we've done so many stories over the years. Now, it is fair to say Bianca did get 11% of the vote. So he's the other Republican that's in the race.
Right.
I'm sure those voters are going to coalesce behind Hilton.
That's a good point.
But the rest of the lineup is full of progressives as well. Now, Katie Porter, from my understanding, Becerra is someone that is not liked. I mean, you even saw Susan Rice go after him.
The least productive Biden official.
Right. They said that he was terrible. So Hilton may have a shot just because this guy is hated so much.
Also, he's got a scandal brewing with his chief of staff. And the last thing I would say is just keep an eye on Iowa, because
they're calling it a political miracle.
Well, joining me now to react, a man who knows about campaigning and a woman who knows about California. Let's bring in Fox News contributor and former Congressman Jason Chaffetz, along with podcast host Jillian Michaels. All right, welcome to you both. Big smiles on your faces. Jillian, I'm coming your way on California. Let's do mayor first, okay? How you feeling about I know the results are preliminary. How you feeling about them?
I mean, listen, I feel pretty friggin' optimistic. You said it yourself. Karen Bass should have walked away with this. She's the incumbent. She's the established Democrat in California, which has twice as many registered Democrats as Republicans. So the fact that Spencer Pratt came this far is a miracle unto itself, and I'm hoping for another one in November.
Okay, so, Jason, I agree with Jillian. It does kind of feel like a political miracle. Now, here's where you get out of fantasy land and you get into the cold reality of politics. Bass has got the machine, the Los Angeles political machine. You've been in politics a long time. You know about those things. Can Pratt overcome that, Jason, or is that a bridge too far for a newcomer like him?
Well, that machine ain't working too well. I got to tell you, to only get a third of the vote is pretty embarrassing. When you're the incumbent, you got unlimited resources. You got the Democratic machine, as you talk about. They're not producing because she ain't producing. It's an embarrassment. She's not raising the kind of money that Pratt is running. The ads have been abysmal. And after you've been in office, you got nothing to point to. I mean, look, first of all, we need to get Jillian Michaels to run for office. That would be a good thing.
Hey,
She's got to buck up and run for something at some point. But here's the other point. What? I got to tell you, you're less than 60% of the vote is counted. It just feels like we're not going to go to the results of this election until, I don't know, you got 2 Democrats. Well, how can they not count the votes? Come on, California. That's embarrassing, and it looks scandalous.
You know, Julie, let me ask you about that. Nate Silver, the politics watcher, not a conservative, not a Republican, he says this is the kind of thing you'd expect to see in a failed state. And if I was a voter in California, look, I don't care what side of the aisle I'm on. I'm like, count the stinking votes, Jillian. How do you feel about it as a resident trying to get some sense of what's going to happen here?
Well, you know what's sad? I actually left California because it is a failed state. I expect this of California. It's routine for California. We all knew it was going to go down like this. But fortunately, it seems that the polling has been indicative of the actual results. So I think we can definitely count on this runoff in November. And my fingers are certainly crossed for Spencer and for Los Angeles and for California on the whole.
Yep. Jason, let's go governor's race, okay? Same
Here
dynamic.
we go, guys. Steve Hilton. California could be seeing some huge changes soon.
You don't have the votes in yet. Steve Hilton looks like he's performing very well. Of course, the whole field consolidates when you get to the final 2, and then you've got the problem of Democrat registrations in the state. I ask it again, is this a bridge too far for Hilton, or can he get people who don't normally vote to get out or cross the aisle or something, Jason?
I go back again to the integrity of the vote. You got 46% of the vote, not yet counted. That's an embarrassment. But look, Steve Hilton has a message, and it's resonating. If you want different results, you're going to have to elect different people. Why California? It pats itself on its back because it's so creative and all that. Well, try something new. If you want to do something new, try what Steve Hilton's talking about. They're following in the footsteps of Donald Trump. They're authentic. They're talking common sense. And there's nothing radical in this platform other than let's do common sense things. Let's actually do what we say we're going to do. That seems to be resonating.
Jillian, you reminded me, because I forgot, that you fled the state, okay? So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a question. Let's say you got Pratt and Hilton, okay, the combo of the two in California. Would that ever possibly cause you to reconsider maybe making California your home again?
It could, but I don't want to be Debbie Downer here. There is a huge uphill battle if these guys get into office. In fact, I was having a previous conversation with Sheriff Bianco, who said that he thinks if himself or if he or Hilton makes it into the governor's mansion, they're immediately going to try to recall them. And then you're going to have the pushback from all the judges, and it's going to be a huge, we'll say, battle. Yeah. And so, look, I'm exceptionally hopeful. I'm going to say it again. My fingers are crossed, but I am also a realist and a pragmatist. And I think how this plays out remains to be seen over the course of years, not months.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Even if those guys won, the fight would just be starting, and it'll be bad.
Jillian, brutal. Don't go back. We like Jillian too much to encourage her to go back, Brian. Don't do that to her. We like this woman.
If you wanted to run for office, what state do you want her to run in? I think California could use her, Jason. That's all I'm saying here.
I'm just saying she runs on principle. Even though I disagree with her on some things, she's exactly the kind of person you want to be in office. I don't care where it is, but we like her too much.
No argument here. Hey, you guys are great. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Huge compliment coming from you guys. Thank you. I appreciate my sanity too much, but I'll leave it to better people than myself, you, Jason.
All right, you two. You sort it out in the break. I got to go do something else.
Wow. So huge update, guys, with Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton in California.
Here to react, voter registration activist and early vote action founder Scott Pressler joins me now. Scott, good morning. Great to see you. A whole lot to get to. And let's start off with the Los Angeles mayoral race, where Karen Bass is advancing to the November runoff. Spencer Pratt currently in second place, although that position has yet to be finalized. Despite that, he is feeling confident right now. Take a listen to what he had to say last night. Watch.
I'm ready for whatever God puts in front of me, and we have 5 months to put the best team the city could ever dream of. I mean, she knows it's on. I hope she's ready, because I literally could not be more excited.
Your thoughts on this race and where things stand right now?
Well, good morning. Mayor Karen Bass said that they have a foundation to build on, and unfortunately, she's right. Because while she was posing for pictures in Ghana, it was her home city of Los Angeles that was burning to the ground because of her feckless and weak leadership. There are still a lot of votes to count, but I'm hopeful that Spencer Pratt will make the runoff and be one of our candidates going into the November election.
Okay, so let's move over to the California gubernatorial race. All still close to call, but with 56% of the vote total in, Steve Hilton is currently in the lead with 27.7% of the vote, followed by Javier Becerra at 25.4%, and then Tom Steyer in third. Democrats are saying that those results could drastically change as mail-in ballots continue to be counted, which typically lean left. But this is an undeniably strong showing for Steve Hilton. From what you can see right now, does he make it to the November election?
I think it was incredibly important for President Donald Trump to put his thumb on the scale and to endorse Steve Hilton. A lot of people don't know that it's the top two candidates that go to the runoff in November, that regardless of party, it could be two Democrats that lock out a Republican. So coming together on behalf of Steve Hilton, number one, right now, there are still millions of votes to count. But if you're a Republican in California right now, you've got to be smiling at these results.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that because there is a through line between Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton, and that they're both outside candidates and they both ran on quality of life issues. So what does that say about the state of California, and if real change could potentially be coming?
Well, one concern that a lot of voters have is, when are we going to find out the results of these elections? Is it going to take hours? Is it going to take days? Is it going to take weeks? And in addition to quality of life, one thing I'm hearing from voters on the ground is they demand election security. And I'm hopeful that while we are receiving these results, there's going to be continued pressure on legislators to pass legislation like the Save America Act.
All right, so that could be coming down the pipeline as well. Okay, yesterday, Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner, he was on Capitol Hill. He was meeting with Democrat senators. Following that meeting, here's a smattering of reaction from said senators. Watch this.
You have full confidence in
I do. I have confidence that we are going to win Maine, and I have no doubt.
Why are they spending so much money trying to defeat this guy? And the answer is that he's going to stand up to the oligarchs.
I met with Graham Plattner today. We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate.
Are you still supporting Graham Plattner?
As I said, I endorsed Graham Plattner. We're going to beat Susan Collins and take back the Senate.
I guess you consider that a sort of a partial dodge from Chuck Schumer there, who just kept on saying, we're going to beat Susan Collins. And this is, of course, following another scandal involving Plattner, this time having to do with sexting a myriad of women, an untold number of them. Despite all these controversies, though, Maine polling shows